These are the 5 simple money habits that are silently making you poor. Habit number 5, you pay yourself last instead of first. This is one of the most damaging habits and also one of the most common. Most people follow the same pattern every month. Pay the bills, buy groceries, cover daily expenses, maybe enjoy a few small pleasures, and only then think about saving what's left. But here's the hard truth. If you wait until the end of the month to save, there's usually nothing left to save. Warren Buffett has always preached the opposite. Do not save what is left after spending, he said. Spend what is left after saving. In other words, pay yourself first. What does that mean in practice? It means treating your future like a bill that must be paid, just like you wouldn't skip your mortgage or utility payment. You shouldn't skip your retirement contributions or long-term savings. If you're still working, set an automatic transfer to your 401k, IRA, or investment account right when your paycheck hits. Make it automatic. Make it non-negotiable. Think about this. If you save just $500 a month starting at age 50 with a modest 6% annual return, you'd have over $115,000 by the time you're 65. But if you wait until everything else is covered, that money disappears into small, forgettable purchases. This habit is silent but deadly. You don't feel poor while you're spending, but you will become poor when retirement arrives and your accounts are empty. The sooner you reverse this pattern, the more control you gain. It's not about how much you make, it's about how consistently you keep a piece of it for yourself. Buffett became one of the richest men alive by following this one habit from the start. You don't need to be a billionaire to apply it. You just need to start. Most people don't go broke overnight. It happens slowly, quietly, through small daily decisions that feel harmless but drain your future. Warren Buffett once said, "The chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken." And that's exactly how these 5 financial habits work. They creep in, unnoticed, until it's too late. Ignoring these could quietly destroy everything you've built. The most dangerous habit is the last one. Habit number 4, you let cash sit in a savings account. Leaving large amounts of money in a traditional savings account might feel safe, but over time, it's silently making you poorer. That's because the interest you earn is usually far lower than the rate of inflation. So even though your account balance stays the same or grows a little, your money buys less every year. Warren Buffett has always warned about the dangers of cash losing value. He once said, "The one thing I will tell you is the worst investment you can have is cash. It becomes worth less over time." Inflation is like a slow leak in your financial tires. You don't notice it day to day, but over a decade, your savings could lose 20% to 30% of their real purchasing power. Let's put that into perspective. Suppose you have $100,000 sitting in a regular savings account earning 0.5% interest. If inflation is running at 3% per year, your real return is actually negative. In 10 years, that same $100,000 could have the buying power of just $74,000. That's a $26,000 loss without ever spending a dime. Now imagine the impact over 20 or 30 years of retirement. That doesn't mean you shouldn't have any cash. An emergency fund is essential, but once your short-term needs are covered, the rest of your money should be working for you. Treasury bonds, high-yield savings, CDs, or low-risk index funds are smarter options that at least aim to beat inflation. Buffett never lets money sit idle. He believes in putting every dollar to work, and so should you. Money that just sits is money that shrinks. The habit of playing it safe with cash might feel responsible, but in the long run, it's one of the riskiest things you can do. You mistake busy for productive. There's a dangerous illusion that traps millions of people. The belief that being busy means being productive. But constant activity, emails, errands, scrolling through financial headlines, doesn't necessarily lead to smarter money decisions. In fact, it often leads to confusion, stress, and costly mistakes. Warren Buffett is famous for how little he does compared to how much he accomplishes. He spends 80% of his day reading and thinking. "I insist on a lot of time being spent almost every day to just sit and think," he once said. It's not glamorous, it's not fast, but It works. The truth is, when it comes to your financial future, clarity is more powerful than constant motion. You don't need to act every day. You need to understand what matters and focus there. Many people jump from one hot stock tip to the next, read endless news articles, or obsess over market ups and downs, but they never stop to ask, is this helping my long-term goals? Productivity in finance means setting a strategy and sticking to it. It means reviewing your retirement plan once a quarter, not every morning. It means automating your contributions instead of manually moving money around every week. It means tracking spending with purpose, not obsessively. Being busy makes you feel like you're doing something, but if your attention is scattered, your results will be too. Buffett avoids distractions so he can think clearly and act decisively when it matters most. The financial world rewards clarity, not chaos. The more you simplify, the more you gain. You don't need to do more. You need to do what matters consistently. That's how real wealth is built. If you want to learn about finances according to Warren Buffett's principles so you don't lose money, subscribe to our channel. Habit number 3, you try to time the market. Trying to predict the perfect moment to buy or sell investments might seem smart, but it's one of the fastest ways to lose money. It gives you the illusion of control, when in reality, even the smartest investors in the world get it wrong. Warren Buffett has been clear on this for decades. The only value of stock forecasters is to make fortune tellers look good. He doesn't try to guess when the market will rise or fall. Instead, he focuses on buying great assets and holding them for the long term, no matter what the headlines say. Market timing is not a strategy. It's a gamble. Here's why. Let's say you missed just the 10 best days in the stock market over the last 20 years. Your total return would be cut in half. That's right, half. And the problem is those best days often happen during periods of panic when most people are selling. Many retirees panic and move their money to cash when markets drop, but in doing so, they often lock in their losses and miss the rebound. Then they buy back in too late when prices are high again. This cycle repeats, and it quietly destroys retirement savings. Buffett's success comes from discipline, not prediction. He buys when there's long-term value and holds through the storms. He knows wealth is built over decades, not days. If you're near or in retirement, your focus should be on consistent income, capital preservation, and modest, long-term growth. Not chasing the highs or dodging the lows. The market will go up and down. That's a fact. But your future depends on how you behave during those moments, not on how well you guess the next move. You don't understand the power of compounding. If there's one principle that Warren Buffett credits for his massive fortune, it's this: compounding. Yet, it's one of the most misunderstood and underused forces in personal finance. Most people underestimate it because its effects are invisible at first, and then suddenly overwhelming. Buffett once said, "My wealth has come from a combination of living in America, some lucky genes, and compound interest." He began investing at age 11 and made 99% of his wealth after turning 50. Why? Because compounding takes time, but when given time, it becomes unstoppable. Here's what many people miss. Compounding doesn't just grow your money, it accelerates it. Imagine investing $100,000 at a 7% annual return. In 10 years, it grows to about $196,000. In 20 years, $386,000. In 30 years, over $760,000. You didn't double your money every decade. The growth got faster, not just bigger. Now imagine the opposite, delaying your investments or withdrawing early. That breaks the compounding cycle and costs you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Most people think short term. What's the return this year? But Buffett thinks in decades. That's the secret. Compounding also works with bad habits. Credit card debt, for example, compounds against you. If you carry a balance at 20%, your debt snowballs just as aggressively, but in reverse. So the real question isn't just how much you invest, it's how long you let your money grow. Starting late, you'll need to be more aggressive. Starting early, even small amounts can turn into something life-changing. Understanding compounding shifts your entire mindset. It teaches patience, it rewards consistency, and it punishes delay. If you ignore this principle, you'll work harder for less. But if you harness it like Buffett did, it quietly builds wealth in the background year after year. You avoid looking at the numbers. Many people avoid their finances the way they avoid bad news. They don't check their retirement accounts, ignore monthly statements, and avoid sitting down to review expenses. It feels uncomfortable, stressful, even overwhelming. But this avoidance comes at a massive cost, and it's one of the most silent ways people lose money. Warren Buffett reviews numbers relentlessly. He knows that what gets measured gets managed. If you're not looking at your financial picture regularly, you're not in control of it. And when you're not in control, small leaks turn into major losses over time. Here's the hard truth. Avoiding your financial reality doesn't protect you. It weakens you. Let's say you haven't checked your retirement account in a year. Maybe your allocations are off. Maybe you're too heavy in risk or missing out on growth. Maybe fees are quietly draining your returns, but you don't notice because you're not looking. That's how people lose thousands without even realizing it. Or take your spending. If you don't track where your money goes, it's easy to overspend in categories that don't align with your goals. A few $100s here and there across months and years can destroy your savings plan. You don't need to become an accountant, but you do need to know your numbers, how much you're saving, what you're earning, where you're spending, what you're paying in fees, what you're keeping after taxes. Buffett doesn't make decisions based on guesses or feelings. He uses data. And the good news is, you don't need to be a billionaire to do the same. Facing your numbers might feel uncomfortable at first, but it's far less painful than waking up one day and realizing your retirement plan is off course and you're out of time to fix it. Habit number 2. You always say, "I'll start tomorrow." This is one of the most dangerous habits of all because it doesn't feel like a mistake in the moment. Telling yourself, "I'll start tomorrow" sounds harmless. You're not refusing to act, just postponing it. But tomorrow becomes next week, then next month, then next year. And before you realize it, decades have passed, and the window to act is gone. Warren Buffett began investing at age 11, and he said that the biggest regret of his financial life was not starting even earlier. Why? Because time is the most valuable asset you have, and procrastination quietly steals it away. Let's break it down. If you invest $200 per month starting at age 40, by the time you're 65, you could have around $153,000 at a 7% annual return. But if you wait just 5 years to start, that drops to about $103,000. That's a $50,000 difference for the same monthly amount, just because you delayed. It's not just about investing either. People delay creating a retirement plan, reviewing Social Security strategies, adjusting their spending, or even having serious conversations about their future. They wait until things calm down or next year is better. But life doesn't wait. Health issues, job changes, or economic downturns can hit at any time, and the longer you delay, the harder it becomes to catch up. Buffett doesn't wait for perfect conditions. He acts when the numbers make sense, even if the world feels uncertain. The truth is, you don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to start. One decision, one step, one change. The sooner you begin, the more time compounding, planning, and discipline have to work in your favor. Waiting feels safe, but it's silently costing you the future you could have had. Habit number 1, you spend to feel better. This habit is quiet. It often hides behind stress, boredom, anxiety, or even celebration. You don't plan to overspend. You just want a small reward, something to feel better. A dinner out, a new gadget, a few clicks online, but over time, emotional spending becomes a reflex. And that reflex can silently sabotage your entire financial future. Warren Buffett lives in the same house he bought in 1958. He drives modest cars, he avoids impulsive purchases, not because he can't afford them, but because he doesn't let emotions dictate his money. If you buy things you don't need, soon you will have to sell things you do need, he once said. Spending to soothe emotions creates a cycle, momentary relief, followed by regret or guilt. Then more spending to escape those feelings. It becomes a pattern that eats away at your savings, your investments, and your peace of mind. And the worst part? You often don't realize it's happening until the damage is done. Here's a real example. Someone earning $70,000 a year who spends just $20 a day on non-essential items coffee, takeout, subscriptions, loses over $7,000 a year. In 10 years, that's $70,000. Invested wisely, that could grow to over $100,000. The goal isn't to stop enjoying your money. The goal is to spend with purpose. Build a fun fund. Give yourself limits, track triggers. Replace emotional spending with healthier routines, a walk, a call with a friend, time with family. The long-term satisfaction of financial security far outweighs the short-term rush of buying something new. Buffett became wealthy by mastering his impulses. You don't have to give up everything, but you do need to take control, because emotional spending doesn't just drain your wallet, it drains your future. If you want to learn more about how to take care of your money by following Warren Buffett's principles, subscribe to our channel now.